From the International Space Station, this is the view. It is rather pleasant. A view like this may be breathtaking to the astronauts aboard the station, but it also highlights how perilous the trip down to Earth is. The end, the only means of getting people to and from the ISS, since the Space Shuttle's retirement in 2011, has been the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. Using their Dragon spacecraft, SpaceX became the first commercial firm to deploy a cargo ship to the International Space Station in 2012. However, when will SpaceX launch its first crew to the International Space Station? We will examine SpaceX's Dragon 2 spacecraft in this video, which is designed to transport people to and from the International Space Station and beyond. In addition, we will examine SpaceX's close rivalry with Boeing and the issues the company has had with Dragon 2. The original objective for SpaceX was to build a spacecraft named Dragon that could transport and retrieve goods from the International Space Station. After they accomplished this, they would concentrate on Dragon 2, their human spaceship, which was built to transport a crew of 7 individuals to the International Space Station and safely return them to Earth. Dragon 2 was built to take off on the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, dock with the ISS, and then use 8 Super Draco engines positioned around the spacecraft's perimeter to propel itself back to Earth. This would enable the Dragon 2 spacecraft to make controlled landings and be completely reusable. Dragon 2 had several tests following its 2014 reveal, beginning with a pad abort test that was successfully finished in May 2015. The test demonstrated how, in the event of a launch pad emergency, Dragon would transport humans to safety. Later that year, SpaceX also tested the Dragon capsule's ability to be controlled during a propulsive landing by performing a propulsive hover test. The Dragon 2 spacecraft has undergone several modifications since then, which has caused it to be delayed by more than 2 years. Since it would take a lot of time and money to convince NASA that the propulsive landing concept was safe for crewed flights, SpaceX opted to abandon it. Additionally, they understood that investing additional time and resources in the Dragon spacecraft would impede the development of the BFR, which would be able to do all of Dragon's functions and much more. Instead, the spaceship will land using a more recognizable method, splashing down in the ocean after deploying parachutes. The question now is when Dragon 2 will launch. Now that SpaceX has a better idea of how it will operate, what is the anticipated date of the first human launch aboard a SpaceX rocket? Later this year, in August, the Dragon 2 spacecraft is expected to launch its inaugural mission. To prove to NASA that the vehicle can dock with the ISS and safely return to Earth, the trip will be an uncrewed test flight. SpaceX will try to send a Dragon spacecraft carrying people to the ISS in December of this year if the first trip is successful. However, SpaceX will need to conduct an in-flight abort test between the 2 demo flights later this year, before any of those 2 missions can proceed. As the Dragon capsule passes through Max Q, it will be pulled away from the rocket by the Super Draco engines. SpaceX is not alone in the competition to send American astronauts to the International Space Station. In November, Boeing hopes to launch the CST-100 Starliner, their crew capsule, 1 month ahead of SpaceX. NASA has already given contracts to both businesses to conduct at least 1 ISS flight year. SpaceX will be NASA's less expensive choice when both businesses eventually launch their spacecraft. End of Chapter 3. Recording by Chuck and Triss on July 30th. The Dragon spacecraft does not need to be quickly reusable though, as they will only be conducting about 2 flights a year, which is another reason they abandoned the propulsive landing concept. Therefore, we can appreciate the amount of work that goes into building the spacecraft that will carry the first humans into space, as we eagerly await SpaceX's launch. Additionally, even the Dragon 2 has taken a long time to develop. It appears that SpaceX will soon send its first humans into space, a significant turning point in the entire Mars expedition. How do you feel about the spaceship Dragon 2? Will it make its debut this year, or will we have to wait much longer? If you liked this video, as one of our first contributors, In order to participate in the conversation as we continue to learn more about everything related to space, make sure you are subscribed. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. 12 fucking days. I no longer eat at all. I positioned him over here on the right. Indeed, sir. All right. Hot mic, that was ours.